Greetings. Today I'm going to talk about truth and beauty and why I think they're both important concepts. First of all, truth and beauty have Platonic origins, and the philosophy of Plato identified the good with the true and the beautiful, and this was the Platonic one. Basically representing God, but the one in Platonism is more of an impersonal God, and this is the origin of our idea of the true and the beautiful, which also have their equivalents in the world of forms, and things are true and beautiful to the extent that they participate in those Platonic forms. So that's the origin of those ideas, and I want to talk about their existence in culture, God, and the human person. So I'll take each of those in turn. So to start off with, its existence in culture. Now, the previous talk was on art, and obviously truth and beauty have a massive role to play in art, and that's just self-evident really from all the great artifacts of culture, and also other forms of culture as well, like traditions and local heritage, and all of these things can partake of the true and the beautiful. So I think that's all self-evident really. In terms of God, yes, God is really the ultimate example of the true and the beautiful, and even if you don't believe in God, you can take God as a concept higher than which nothing can be thought, and depending on your point of view, if you're like a deconstructionist or something, you might think that formulation in itself is nonsense, but I'm not really interested in what the deconstructionist opinion is. So basically, God is the highest concept and partakes of the true and the beautiful, and this makes him a appropriate object of worship, and everything good basically has its origin in God, according to this theology or philosophy, and nothing earthly, not even a great cultural work, not even a great poem or a great piece of music, is good in itself. It's only good by participation in God. So when we pray and we direct our mind to that highest good, that's one of the best things we can do, because it's a direct participation in the highest principle, however shallow our prayer may be, because prayer is difficult. I'm not trying to say it's an effortless process. It's very difficult, and you might not reap immediate rewards from it either. So but really, God as the true and the beautiful has been an important concept in Western culture. And finally, the human person. Now, the second great commandment is love your neighbour as yourself, and we see in other people the true and the beautiful, and this is especially true of in the Christian tradition of saints and the Blessed Virgin, and we should also extend that to our neighbour as well. because really the human creation is a work of art in itself, and it's very important to respect other people with love, ultimately with Christian love, and I think that's crucial. And yes, the human person obviously represents truth, because it gets quite difficult, but it represents truth because they're a key creation of the highest principle, and each human being is like a microcosmos in itself, and we have the idea of the macrocosmos and the microcosmos, and each human being is really their own individual universe, and there's a lot which is true and beautiful about that. So I'll just leave with that thought. And finally, truth and beauty are far above aesthetics. Now, aesthetics is something of a degeneration from a higher, more spiritual outlook. Aesthetics really only came into being fairly recently with like Edmund Burke and and Hegel a bit later, and they both wrote important treatises on aesthetics. But really, and of course Kant, the Critique of Judgment, but really the idea of aesthetics is a debased form of spiritual appreciation, in my opinion. So yes, the true and the beautiful are far above aesthetics. I'm actually a realist, so, and a Thomistic realist, and realism believes in the real nature of universals. So universals actually exist, not necessarily in terms of Platonic forms, but universals exist as I suppose in the intelligible, really. It's quite similar to forms, but it's not quite the idea of Platonic forms. But it was really nominalism that was the first step to destroying the Christian paradigm. So I'm not too keen on nominalism at all. Nominalism saying that universals don't exist and we only give a name to an abstraction of empirical reality, basically. Not quite that extreme, but already in the 14th century we were heading in that direction. And really that destroys the true and the beautiful, because what does nominalism say about them? They're just abstract concepts. They're just ideas that we generalize from our particular empirical experiences, and something that David Hume might say, for example. And this to me is a total destruction of the idea of the true and the beautiful. So I am a Thomistic realist in that sense. And I think that covers all the ground. So in summary, the true and the beautiful are concepts which have a tremendous importance in both art and religion, although sadly in the former it's taken something of a debasement with the modern theory of aesthetics, and the further towards the present you go, the more debased it gets as well, unfortunately. But that's just the nature of our evolving intellectual universe, isn't it? That it's like, if you follow the progress of art as a final thought, if you follow the progress of art, it went from great beauty to modern aberrations, really, like the sort of thing that they award the Turner Prize to, absolute aberrations. But that's just the way culture's going. Hopefully there'll be a renaissance at some point, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So yeah, that's everything on that topic. Thank you.